Can the LADA survive, and should it? The cult classic dating from the Soviet era had a global following, especially the off-road Niva, at least until Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022.
I don't feel this excitement anymore to drive this Russian car.
Could it be the end of the road for Russia's best-known car maker? Can new electric models help save it? For many Russians, the LADA is not just a car, but a symbol of strength and national pride.
You can feel it's something truly unique, something that probably means something to all Russians. We are, after all, talking about our Soviet cars here.
Isolated from the West due to the war, Russia is bypassing sanctions by building the car in Azerbaijan and shipping it from there to buyers worldwide.
You see, it's another hole in the sanctions regime.
Plus, LADA is now cooperating with Chinese partners eager to fill the gap in the Russian automotive market left by Western companies. But not everyone is happy about that.
Maybe one day LADA will become a fully Chinese car.
Is this the end of a phenomenon that was born in the communist Soviet Union and became a model of durability around the world?
The LADA is a kind of hero. I just turn off the road and go wherever it takes me. It's freedom.
President Vladimir Putin believes the domestic car industry is essential for Russia's economic autonomy and is using any means necessary to ensure that LADA survives.
Avtovaz has requested 3,000 workers from the prison service, which has gulag-style conditions.
In Russia, the LADA cult is very much alive. Alexei Aksionov has just picked up his from a garage in Moscow for a little trip to nearby Orlovo. Every year, the village place hosts to the LADA Festival, where you'll find every model ever produced under the brand name by the Avtovaz company going back to 1970. LADA fans from across the country descend on Orlovo to celebrate their beloved car.
It's great to see more and more people. LADA isn't just a car, it's a mindset and a movement.
It has something unique, something that means a lot to every Russian. They are our Soviet cars, after all.
As Avtovaz is basically our national company, it has a big future. It's something that's always been part of us.
A future that began in the late 60s. A new plant in Russia's motor city, Tolyatti, turned out a licensed version of the Fiat 124 called the Zhiguli, after the nearby mountain range. 1977 saw the first original LADA model roll off the line, the Niva, a rugged little off-roader with no-frills engineering and a low price that made it a big hit around the world. It's still in production today, largely unchanged. In 2024, 2 years after the invasion of Ukraine, LADA began production at the Azerbaijan factory in Azerbaijan. Countries from the southern and eastern hemispheres, including the BRICS nations, are joining forces in the automotive sector, helping to bring LADAs to the West.
But then again, you see it's another hole in the sanctions regime. Because then, Russia's free then to export parts, to invest in the plant, to boost production. And then it comes from Azerbaijan, and then it goes on into Turkey, and then into the rest of Europe.
Following the exit of Western car makers, LADA now has around a 30% domestic market share, although Chinese brands now account for double that, either shipping over their own cars or making them in Russia and slapping on badges like Moskvich. And as for components, around 40% of a new LADA is now Chinese-made. So, local fans of the cars are understandably concerned.
LADAs have Chinese gearboxes and electronics. Next, it might be a Chinese engine. And maybe one day, LADA will become a fully Chinese car.
From the outside, it looks like China came in. But in reality, the Russians begged the Chinese to sell them something at least. China's presence in Russia is definitely not strategic.
The history of LADA is a subject of great interest to car journalist Sergei Aslanyan. Since the Russian authorities designated him a foreign agent in 2023, he's had to run his YouTube channel in exile, from where he's reported on Vladimir Putin pumping billions into AvtoVAZ. Government orders, tariffs, and taxes on Chinese competitors have boosted domestic LADA production, from 450,000 units at the start of the war to 750,000 in 2024. A development that's been confirmed by satellite images. It's growth by any means necessary, says the dissident journalist.
Officially, AvtoVAZ requested 3,000 workers from a prison labor system similar to the Gulag. And they were told, yes, you will get them. But at the moment in Russia, there aren't enough prisoners and arrests can't keep up, so alternatives are employed. People are simply taken off the streets if needed. In Russia, it's well known. It's not the guilty who get locked up, but those who are needed. The same was true in the Gulag days. If there weren't enough engineers, Stalin's secret police would be asked to arrest some. Problem solved. Today, it's the same.
These are some of the reasons why Christian Oyang from Estonia rarely takes his LADA out of the garage anymore.
Somehow I don't feel this excitement anymore to drive this Russian car as I used to felt. Or maybe I feel a little bit guilty even.
He drives an old LADA, a Zhiguli, a model he's been around since his childhood.
As I have traveled it so many times, then of course I have lots of great emotions regarding to this car.
The Russian LADA made him a TV star. In 2015, Christian started filming his road trips across Europe with friends in the old car. Right away, his LADA series drew surprisingly high ratings on Estonian TV.
It all started that we just wanted to travel with the old car, and when we make these traveling plans, then suddenly we felt that this is going to be such an interesting travel that perhaps we should bring cameras with us and try to produce a TV program with it.
His videos take viewers to places where the Soviet Union still leaves its mark in the Baltics: secret nuclear bunkers, sports facilities, military bases. Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania were part of the USSR for 5 decades until 1991.
That's the heritage we have. That's the reality. It's good to know our history and our background. If you don't remember the history, then you don't know the threats of the history or the threats of the past.
During Soviet times, the Zhiguli was one of Estonia's primary modes of transport. Between 1970 and 2014, 17 million of these cars were produced.
Oh, the first memories of my life, let's say even, is connected with these kind of cars. Very first thing when you notice when you sit in this car is the smell. All the Zhigulis and Ladas, they smell the same. So when I sit in here, it's the smell of my childhood, let's say so.
But when Russia started its war against Ukraine in 2022, his feelings about the car changed.
After the Ukrainian war started, the nostalgia changed for myself. Yeah, something changed, for me at least. I'm not sure if I ever do another film with this LADA.
Still, thousands of kilometers with that moody 62 horsepower engine are forever etched in his memory.
Lots of hours of worries and things like that. We have a trunk full of spare parts with us. There's lots of cooling liquid cans in here. Here also a part where I wouldn't travel without anywhere. This is a ignition system basically. You have to have your garage because first of all you need so many spare parts. You must have a storeroom where you can put your parts in.
That might explain why garages are so common across Eastern Europe. It's probably all because of the LADA. At Tallinn City Museum, scholars and artists organized an exhibition on the socio-cultural phenomenon of garages in the former Eastern Bloc.
LADA was a car that brought mass motorization to the Soviet society. The cars, well, they were not particularly reliable. Then again, they were used for decades, right? So that means that they needed a lot of maintenance as well. So everybody relied, or most of the car owners relied on their own skills. So that was the reason why people had these garages.
Paco Ullman and Karel Kunap are turning a garage in Tallinn into a club, a place for art and entertainment. The place where their fathers once worked on LADAs and secretly talked over beers, away from communist surveillance.
It has a very particular feeling, this place. It was a personal space for a lot of guys, I guess, for the older generations. I don't know what kind of talks were around here, maybe more different kinds of talks, but more radical, I don't know. But we feel that, this kind of free spirit lives here. It can have another life and other meanings, so we create another memories.
In the film Goodbye Berlin, German director Fatih Akin staged the escape of two young people from their bleak reality in a stolen LADA. And for Barbara Strier, who works in finance, trips in her LADA are a vital escape, war or no war.
It's somehow pure freedom. Because, you know, hypothetically, you could just flick your turn signal and go see what's happening out there in the field. And that's luxury. For me personally, that's exactly what luxury is. Not having to follow the rules or do what you're supposed to do. No, I was out there in the field or the forest with my LADA.
Strier is part of the German LADA Niva Club. More than 300 fans gather regularly for events, and despite the current political tensions, nobody hesitates to embrace their beloved Russian car.
For me, it's about the car and the off-road driving. If the Niva was made by the French or someone else, I don't care if it's from Russia or the Soviet Union. It's about this off-road vehicle.
Most of them have driven their LADAs for decades.
The LADA. As soon as I'm inside, I'm calm. I don't know, it's just fun. The shape, all those angles and edges.
Solid and simple, purely mechanical. Any blacksmith can hammer a new spring for a LADA Niva. Try getting spare parts for a VW Amarok in the Sahara.
Going off the beaten path is the motto of LADA Niva owners. Michel Abbe is a hardcore off-road fan.
I actually dreamed of a Land Rover or a Mercedes G, but it was too expensive. So I bought a LADA. I drove it for 3 years. Then you become a fan. Money stops mattering. You just love the car.
With its all-wheel drive and special suspension, it can tackle any obstacle.
This is kind of hardcore. But everything is doable. It can really take a beating. Back then in the Soviet Union, the advantage was having all climate zones except the tropics in order to be able to test it all.
Before the Niva went into production, it was tested for 6 years, from Siberia to the deserts of Kazakhstan, until its performance and handling were perfectly tuned.
Lightweight, a strong engine, and good weight distribution between the axles give the car power and excellent off-road capability.
Someone else very familiar with the LADA, British journalist Ben Arris. He started working as Moscow correspondent for the Daily Telegraph in 1993.
This is the Foreign Ministry, Smolenskaya. I lived very close to that. There were no traffic jams in Moscow. And there were just these random LADAs driving around, and you stuck out your hand and stopped one, and that was a taxi. And then you just did a deal with the guy, like how much you're willing to pay to take you to the other end of town or whatever.
The USSR ceased to exist on December 31st, 1991. Aris came to Russia 2 years later. The political upheaval had major economic and social consequences and transformed the auto industry.
The economy collapsed. And that's really what impacted the automotive sector. For a factory like Avtovaz, the whole system just became a mess. Production collapsed. At the same time, there was a criminalization of the Russian economy, and cars fell foul of that. The distribution network, it got taken over by various mafia groups.
In 1997 alone, 65 contract killings involving LADA dealers were uncovered. Meanwhile, Avtovaz desperately tried to follow up the success of the Zhiguli and Niva with new models like the LADA 2110.
After 1995, with the unsuccessful VAZ 2110 model, the plant became permanently reliant on state subsidies. Avtovaz isn't viable. It's artificially kept alive by government funding.
When Putin came to power in 2000, economic reforms boosted the Russian auto industry. Avtovaz launched new models: the LADA Samara, the Kalina, the Priora, and the Granta. To make the cars more competitive in terms of design, the Briton Steve Matten was brought in as design director in 2011.
Worked at Mercedes, worked at Volvo. Going into the factory at LADA was a bit of a shock at the beginning. It's a big challenge ahead, but that was what was exciting. And the CEO at the time basically said to me, you really need to help them try and change the brands.
2 years later, Bo Andersson, a Swede, was brought in as CEO. He had already made a name for himself with his success at General Motors.
A lot of things changed, so you couldn't really mess around with him in any way. And he needed to clean up the company. That's one of the things he's famous for.
This is a company that has suffering for a long time. Many organizations have tried to improve the performance, and so far no one made it. I always look for a challenge.
Andersson was the first non-Russian CEO tasked with reforming one of the largest socialist industrial projects. The Czech filmmaker Peter Horky followed the experiment with his camera for the documentary The Russian Job, spending years filming in Tolyatti.
For me, it was fascinating to be close to a person who has this power to change a company and also change a city, and also seeing this Soviet dream that was built on Volga in the past. I found people who were living in the past that was great for them. It was good for them. So that's why they decide to still live in it.
In any type of business, discipline is key. But the most important thing is you need to build your own opinion that Avtovaz has a future.
Andersson launched serial production of 2 new cars designed by Steve Matten: the LADA X-Ray and the Vesta, cars with radically new designs.
First, it shows Steve Matten's brilliance, and second, it shows Bo Andersson's professionalism in letting the experts do their work. Andersson deserves to be called a hero of socialist labor for everything he accomplished. He was the best CEO in Avtovaz's 50-year history.
Andersson pushed to get LADA back on track for success, but his radical restructuring of the Avtovaz group didn't make him many friends.
Everything was fine. So when I arrived, the problem started. Everyone expected that government would bail them out. Now we have fired 15,000 people, and they know I will not stop.
After Andersson's reforms cut into the profits of some oligarchs, he was dismissed as CEO in 2016.
That's all?
Sure.
Sometimes we say in Russia people would like to have a revolution, but nothing should change.
That he was fired. It says something profound about Russia. They are a society based on different rules of the stronger much more than on democracy. And I think that the film shows it, and also the world we live in at the moment when we have a war in Ukraine also shows it, that they have this imperial hunger.
For Russia's LADA fan community, the car brand from Tolyatti is an important part of their national pride.
Every reasonably strong, independent, and serious country needs its own automotive industry, at least for transport security reasons. For LADA, of course, it wasn't easy. What happened in the Russian market, foreign companies leaving without fulfilling their commitments and abandoning everyone, well, that was just simply wrong.
At this LADA festival in Orlovo, many Russians share that view, but freedom of speech is severely restricted. Critical reporting is suppressed, and information is controlled by the state.
Unfortunately, strong countries always face problems and external pressure. If you're strong, no one likes you. They slap sanctions on us. What are you supposed to do?
AvtoVaz's collaboration with the West, which began back in 1970 with the licensed production of the Fiat 124, has now reached a low point.
The West is West and the East is East. They will never meet. Russia won't be able to develop a production culture like Volkswagen or make decent cars.
So all this East and West stuff, like I said, I'm a truck driver. I've driven all over Europe with my truck. For me, East and West have long been just directions, like North and South. And everyone should finally see it that way. Then things would be better for all of us.
In any case, German LADA fans don't need to worry about their car's future just yet. For example, at Viktor Durenko's workshop near Berlin in Münchenberg, it's not a problem getting LADAs repaired. Despite EU sanctions on Russia, there's still no sign of any parts shortage.
There's still trade between Russia and Germany. We get parts from Russia sometimes. And we're still able to supply our customers with spare parts.
Many new LADA Nivas are ready to buy at Durenko's lot.
These vehicles weren't made in Russia. We didn't get them from there.
They come to Germany from Azerbaijan. But despite the tricks, AvtoVaz sales fell again in 2025. Many Russians can't afford new cars because of the war economy. And sales are sluggish when it comes to electric vehicles like the Ara, the Azimuth, and the Iskra. Vehicles that don't look like Chinese cars, but instead are based on the designs of Steve Matten, who left the company in 2021.
As a designer, you work in this profession with your heart and soul. You're leaving a part of you behind that will be there for many, many years to come. I just hope LADA keeps its strength in having now, during these last 9 years that I was there and since, their own individual DNA and individuality of product.
The LADA, a reflection of international economics and politics. A vehicle that still evokes a wide range of emotions today.
This car is a kind of therapy for my soul. Other people go to the gym. I sit behind the wheel and just let go. All the problems of work and life disappear.
I mean, the LADA is a good car. And in life, good things usually prevail, right? I trust in history. I trust in the simplicity and authenticity this car was built for. And I just assume it will stay that way, no matter what happens out there.
Ganz gleich, was da draußen passiert. For me, this brand is already dead. So for me, it's the car of the past.
LADA будет точно так же, как Ленин в
The
мавзолее.
LADA will be like Lenin in his mausoleum. Every year, the state spends large sums on Lenin, but nobody expects that he will ever get up and walk.
Не говорит, что Ленин встанет и пойдет.
So, what does the future hold for the LADA? Will it still be around a few years from now? One thing is clear. It always has been and still is a car full of contradictions, loved by so many to this day. What do you think? Leave us a comment and don't forget to subscribe.